Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Pokemon Sun and Moon, and a new segment where we apologize for our mistakes. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. I'm Patrick Ellers, joined as always by my co-host, Mark Mitchell.
Hey, how's it going, Patrick?
Going good. Mark, how are you?
I am... Have you ever had one of those days where you're, like, irritated and you don't know why?
I usually know why.
We'll see. Okay, so I've been in... Like, I felt like kind of like irritated today, and so I was taking inventory of the things like in my life. I'm like, what could I be irritated about? And I think I narrowed it down to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Oh, so you saw Fabulous Beasts. I have not seen this movie.
Yeah.
So you did not care for this thing?
I think I kind of hated it.
Oh, so like, did you get mad about it?
No.
Or is it just like this has been like simmering in you for a while?
I think maybe that's what it was.
What would you say your relationship to Harry Potter is otherwise?
I'm a huge Harry Potter fan.
Okay. Do you think that plays into why you don't like it? Or is it just a bad movie?
I think it's kind of just a bad movie.
And when did you see it?
I saw it last night.
Okay. So it has not yet been like 24 hours.
No.
Okay.
I think I went to bed like thinking like this wasn't very good. Which was disappointing because I wanted it to be great.
Right. Because there's going to be 4 more of them.
Yeah. And so, like, obviously, this is all for a different podcast. But all I'll say is, to me, this is a much better movie than The Phantom Menace. But it has, the same problems that The Phantom Menace had, especially when it comes to its, like, story and especially when it comes to its characters.
Oh, that's a huge bummer.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the characters are some of the weakest parts of Phantom Menace. Like, that's where...
Yeah.
I don't even really want to think about it.
So,
There's always a bigger fish, Mark.
So anyways, like, we don't have to talk about it, but when that prequels hot take starts showing up when the next Fantastic Beasts movie comes out, just remember that.
Right. Remember where you heard it.
Yeah.
Here first.
Because I'm not going to write it. I'm too lazy.
No, of course not.
But yeah, it was disappointing. Other than that, life's great.
Yeah, great. I am recovering from the long weekend, wherein we have to pretend that our lives aren't our lives, where like we don't work for 4 days and
Right.
we eat foods we don't eat and drink during the day and all of these things. I'm like remembering how to live my life again, which sounds dramatic. I don't mean to be so dramatic, but this is just how I feel. It's been tough to drag myself back to like reality.
Yeah, re-entry is always difficult.
That's right. If Apollo 13 has taught us nothing, it's that re-entry is always difficult. And the weather, got to get to the weather report.
Oh,
It's chilly.
Chilly.
Chilly
I
in
was
LA.
struggling for a way to describe it, but yeah, I mean, chilly is obviously the word.
That's right. Chilly, brisk.
Brisk, pleasant.
It is pleasant. We're dressed in layers. Mark, you're wearing a nice jacket.
Thank you.
Is this new?
I have had it for... No, it's not. That's the short answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
The history of my jacket is another podcast that I will also...
I'm done listening to that jacket podcast, by the way. I put in too many hours. I just can't keep going. Mark, I would like to propose a new segment for the podcast.
I am a little bit excited for this segment because it means that we've gone on long enough to have accumulated enough errors.
Sure. Well, hold on. So this segment, we're going to call it the debug. Okay. All video games go through an extensive debugging process to assure the highest standards of quality. Well, I'm already messing this up. So this has not been debugged. All of our quality assurance happens on the fly, which means we do make some mistakes. So now let's debug last week's episode. And we're going to do that with a little bit of help from my friend, our listener to the podcast, Pete. Pete says, "Hi guys."
This is stressful to me because I don't know what this email says. So you could be springing something very like a personal attack on me, and I would never know.
Well, and one of these days, Mark, it will be. In parentheses, he says, "Wait for Mark to say hi."
Oh, hi.
Okay. Here are a bunch of random thoughts I texted Patrick while listening to the latest episode. It's true, I got a bunch of texts from Pete while he was listening to the episode. He says, "I too have very fond memories of Adventures in the Magic Kingdom, but it has aged poorly. Fun tidbit, the layout of the park is much closer to the Disneyland park than it is to the Magic Kingdom." So that's one, I guess, correction or clarification that the park is more like Disneyland than it is like the Magic Kingdom, even though it's Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. The can shooting game, he goes on to say, was actually in Hogan's Alley, not Wild Gunman. However, Wild Gunman is in fact the baby's game Marty plays with his hands in Cafe 80s in Back to the Future. So you were right on that one, and I was wrong. He goes on to say, fun tidbit, it seems the Wii U Virtual Console release date of Wild Gunman was 10/21/15, or Back to the Future Day, the date that Marty travels to in 2015.
Oh, that is actually kind of fun.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, not everything in here is going to be not fun. Some of it will be fun. Let's see. Pete goes on to I guess this one isn't a challenge. He brings up Micro Machines for the NES. This is in response to me bringing up RC Pro-Am as a game that I would put on my NES Classic 2. And Micro Machines was basically the same top-down perspective racing game, but it didn't have the Nintendo seal of quality or approval or whatever.
Oh, was it one of those?
Yeah.
Unapproved cartridges?
Yes, that's
by
right.
Like Tengen or something?
I don't know who produced it exactly, but yeah, it never had the seal, and therefore would be maybe a tricky thing to get onto the system. But yeah, they have it. Micro Machines, maybe a better pick than RC Pro-Am. And then I guess I have some corrections of our own. I said that Bucky O'Hare was developed by Capcom. Not true. It's just a very Capcom-esque game. Konami developed it. And Mark made a joke about having a power pad that you would play with your fingers, and said it would be like those finger skateboards. We later identified them as Tech Decks, just not on the air. So if you have any bugs that you identify on the show, you can email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and then we'll bring them up in the debug. And the debug may not be the first thing that we do every week. It may not happen some weeks, because I think some weeks will be perfect.
That's our goal.
That's our goal. Mark, what have you been playing this week?
Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Yeah, me too. So that's going to be our main topic this week.
Right.
So should we hold off on any further comments about it now, or do you want to just jump into our main topic now and hit news after we talk Pokemon?
I'm a stickler for the rules, so
okay.
We'll like keep in the order of things.
All right. So that's the tease for later in the episode, Pokemon Sun and Moon. So we will get to that. Mark, what do you say? You think it's time for us to move on into the news?
Sure.
Let's go.
So Nintendo announced a bunch of cyber deals.
Cyber deals.
In effect until December 5th. And these are all like it's like downloads, right? Like
yeah.
Sale on downloads for the Wii U and 3DS.
Yeah, so there are a lot of games on here. And it's not huge savings for the most part. If you go to Nintendo's website, there's the just like a cyber deals banner, and you can check it out. There are a lot of Zelda games on sale. The original Legend of Zelda is $3 on the 3DS, and some other stuff in here that's sort of interesting. I don't know. I have a lot of these games already, so I don't think I'm gonna pick up anything. Mark, did you get a chance to look at them?
Yeah, I did look through it. I am really just like a one game at a time type
I hear ya.
person. And so, as I've been playing Pokemon Sun and Moon, like Dragon Quest VII has completely gone by the wayside. You know, like I haven't even had a chance to.
Right. Have you fought a battle in Dragon Quest VII yet?
Not yet. So, no. So I didn't really look through these because I feel like my gaming.
Yeah, your appetite doesn't really
Yeah.
support buying more games right now.
Right. But one thing I thought, and this is only kind of related to the cyber deals, but Black Friday was just a few days ago.
Yeah, sure was.
And Nintendo was releasing that $99.99 like Mario Black and White.
Yeah, the
new
3DSs.
And
which we recommended.
Right.
We said that's a good buy. You should go out and get that.
Good luck if you were able to get one. I actually had a friend who I'd been talking up Pokemon to, and so he was like, yeah, he was looking to get one of those. Completely impossible.
Well, good. I'm glad that Nintendo continues to produce hardware that people want but cannot buy.
Well, this one is especially crazy to me because it's featured in like Target's holiday ads.
Yeah,
like
sure.
that are running constantly. And so I'm assuming more are coming, but it's just nuts.
It's amazing to me how it is just the like regular size new 3DSs that are like impossible to come by. The XLs, no problem getting them. You know, and like Amazon's got that lime green one, which comes with Super Mario World, like one of the best games ever made. And like, yeah, you can order that. It's not hard to get.
I just feel like $200.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Too much to ask for for $50 more during Black Friday. You could get a PS4.
Ooh,
I just feel like it's hard to ask.
Ooh.
You know, with like one or two games, I just feel like it's hard to ask.
Yeah,
for like the 3DS, which is a great system, but the technology at this point is like 6, 7, 8 years old.
Yeah, but I mean, you can get Mario and Luigi Dream Team for $19.99 instead of $39.99.
That game, it's a ripoff at $19.99. So
there are, I would say, games on here worth buying. I'm just looking at it right now. So the Twilight Princess HD for $35. That's a pretty good deal. Triforce Heroes I liked a lot. Is $23.99. Fire Emblem Awakening is $20.
That feels like a good deal.
That's a great game.
That's that's tempting to me.
Yeah, that's and also like worth banking, I think. You know, just to get it now and play it later. Mega Man Legacy Collection on the 3DS is $7.50. Mario Galaxy 2 on the Wii U is $10. That's a great game. And Darksiders, which is normally $40, is now $10. So maybe Darksiders 2, maybe not great.
Maybe not great.
Maybe it's not great.
Maybe not great.
But so yeah, check those out. You have until the 5th, which is next week Tuesday or
next week Monday.
So you've got all weekend. So don't rush out.
GameStop CEO Paul Raines kind of just like outed motion controls. It's for the Nintendo Switch. It's kind of been an open secret that it will probably have motion controls, but this is the first time anybody in the know has said anything about it on the record.
Which, yeah, not exciting necessarily, but sort of it is interesting that like none of the other consoles have that as like a packed in motion control as like part of their regular controllers, but we all kind of assumed that it was necessary for the Switch.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
So specifically what he said is a movement related game is more fun for kids, you know, taking those accessories off. You can really do a lot of interesting things with that in gameplay. So presumably he's talking about like the Joy-Cons, being able to remove them from the central like tablet console thing.
We need to learn a lot of new words to talk about this thing, right?
Well, I don't think I guess you just call the tablet part the Switch.
I think it just is the Switch.
Yeah.
And then the Joy-Cons, Joy-Con L and Joy-Con R.
And then the Joy-Con grip is maybe that
the dog looking
looking thing.
Yeah, maybe. I'm saying we need to learn these
Yeah,
words.
we need to learn
that
them.
We're not there yet.
The Game Awards will feature new footage of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. All right, I have to fess up here. There was a moment where I was going to go, the Game Awards, will feature. But
hey, look, we did rag on the Game Awards last week.
Yeah, so that's why I'm kind of, that's why.
Yeah, maybe even going so far as to say, who cares about the Game Awards?
And yet, here we are 1 week later reporting on them.
Well, okay, so this is also just a subset of the debug here where we are apologizing for our mistakes.
The Game Awards will feature new footage of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And the Game Awards are this coming Thursday, December 1st at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
So, next time we'll talk about whatever we see in Breath of the Wild. Though at this point, I imagine this can be more running through fields and messing up bokoblins.
It'll be interesting to see what they show because we are, fingers crossed, like 6 months away, 8 months away from
who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows when this thing's coming out?
It is interesting to me that they are choosing that they're doing this at all right now, like about a month and change until the big Switch reveal.
Yeah, well, the Game Awards, was it last year or 2 years ago that they were showing footage from Breath of the Wild?
I feel like it was 2 years ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That this game has been that, I want to say close, but obviously it hasn't been, that it's been like in a playable and anticipatable form for that long. And that was really like the first time that we saw how like big and open and like strange it was. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of the game, but also kind of at this point, I'm like, just come back when it's ready.
Right. Like, what more can you show me that will? I mean, I'm already gonna buy it.
Right.
So I would rather just have it be here. But kind of cool. Hopefully, we'll see a different aspect of it. Because we've kind of really only seen that.
Yeah, like the open world.
Yeah, like the plateau, I think they call it. Like we've only ever really seen that and a little bit of the puzzle stuff.
What kind of stuff do you want to see? And I know that this gets into more like speculative, like what do you think the game is? But what kinds of things do you want to see
in the trailer?
Sure.
They just haven't shown us any they haven't really shown us villages or towns.
Yeah.
And that sort of like NPC interaction they haven't really shown anything outside of the wilds. Like the plateau, like that open world. And so I'd like to see, I think it'd be fun to see more of that because that's something we haven't seen any of.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of that too. I think I'd like to see more sword combat. Most of the action that we've seen in the game so far is either like Link skating around on the shield or kind of messing stuff up with like chain reaction. But like, I don't know. I'm curious how the actual sword play in the game is, because no matter what else you're doing in a Zelda game, like kind of the moment to moment action is almost always going to be sword based. And like, is it just going to be a Link to the Past style where I'm just jamming on the button until something dies, or will there be something more to dig into there? So I think your request is a good one. I would also like to see what like NPC interaction and what the civilized parts of this game are, and then I'd also like to just see some swordplay.
Yeah, I feel like so far everything they've shown has been really focused on showing what makes Breath of the Wild different from other Zelda games. And as we get closer, I'm sure we'll just start seeing more in general. But so I can understand from their perspective why they're focusing purely on like what makes it different and new and interesting. But I would like to see more of the familiar.
Also, I mean, honestly, I'm just waiting to see the Tingle trailer. I just want all Tingle. Just as much Tingle as we can.
Yep, maximum Tingle.
Mostly what I want is I want this game to be like Metal Gear Solid 2, where you're playing as Link for the first like 2 hours.
It's a big gotcha.
Yeah, and then it just turns around and it's just, no, now you're Tingle for the last 50 hours of the game.
That would be amazing.
I would be so frustrated.
It would be infuriating after years of anticipation, but it would be kind of be amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Switch, I was reading earlier today that Nintendo in New York is holding a big, I believe it's invite only, like Switch hands-on event for January 13th, which is the day after their big event in Tokyo.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if...
Are we going?
I mean, I assume we
Just
will
absolutely call up Mr. Nintendo.
Call up your uncle who works at Nintendo. But yeah, so maybe not everybody will be... Not all the game journalists will be brought over to Japan for like the reveal event that's going to happen on the 12th. And they'll be brought to like New York instead.
Which is, and then that's hands-on too, which is always exciting to actually, instead of getting just like, we can look at videos and comment on them. And when I say we, I mean anyone.
Right.
You and I in this scenario represent anyone. So yeah, that'll be cool. That's when we first heard that January 12th was going to be a date that we would hear more about the Switch. I was like, man, that's so far away. And now, like, I don't know, it seems like it's basically tomorrow.
Yeah, it's very close.
Very close.
So I feel like Nintendo does not do a very good job of communicating what is going to be released on their platforms during a given week or a given month.
Yes, generally true, especially true for virtual console releases.
So we're going to look back on November and see what was released on virtual consoles.
And just let you know, because there were some kind of cool games released on the virtual console this month.
You would really have no way of knowing it was released.
Unless you went into the virtual console and just like went poking around.
Right.
For like, hey, tell me what's new. What? Who does that?
Mario Hoops 3-on-3 was released on November 3rd for $9.99 on the Wii U.
Was originally a DS game.
Square Enix, right?
Yeah, Square Enix made a Mario 3-on-3 basketball game featuring like the White Mage and Black Mage from Final Fantasy. I've never played this game, but it always fascinated me. It was on my like DS wish list forever, and I may pick it up now that it's $10 on the Wii U.
Also released was Excite Bike 64 on November 17th. Again, $10 on the Wii U.
Hey, so let's talk about the Excite games real quick. There are 3 of them: Excite Bike 64, and Excite Truck, which came out on the Wii. The Excite games come out once every other generation, which means the Switch.
Think we're getting one for Switch?
I think we're gonna get one for Switch.
I mean, what has Monster Games developed anything fairly recently? Maybe they've been working on that.
Maybe. So you're suggesting Excite Monster Truck?
There was like a rumor. I wish I could source it, but I can't remember where I read it. That there's like the Wave Race might make a return for the Switch.
I would like that. Wave Race 64. I dumped a bunch of hours into that game.
So
you thinking merge the franchises? Excite Jet Ski?
Do you remember back in the early days of the Nintendo 3DS when they were releasing 3D versions of classic games?
Yes.
So they would like actually like put in the work to make like Excite Bike 3D.
Yeah. The 3D port of Kid Icarus, of the original Kid Icarus. So it's NES Classics Kid Icarus 3D. I forget exactly what order all of those words are in, but I'm sure they're all there. It actually makes Pit's jumps a little bit floatier and makes the game playable. I can't play regular Kid Icarus. I don't play it as it appears on the NES Classic because it's too hard. But his jumps are just a tiny bit floatier on the 3DS 3D version, and so I played the whole game and ended up loving it.
Oh, that's really interesting.
I would totally recommend to anyone with a 3DS to go ahead and get the 3D version of which you're right. Like, it is a totally bizarre thing to patch in 3D graphics on an NES game.
Well, like you're saying, I don't think it was patched. Like, I think they had to go in and like which is why they were able to make it more floaty.
Yeah.
It was just like a weird experiment that Nintendo was doing at the beginning that must have taken too much manpower and too little sales to make it worthwhile.
Well, is it? Okay, so they did Kid Icarus and they did Excite Bike. These aren't like huge sellers on the there's no Zelda game in there. There's no Mario game.
I think they did Urban Champion too.
Who makes that decision? Like,
Urban Champions is one of those really like awful games that Nintendo consistently puts out on Virtual Console, and I have no idea why.
I mean, someone must be paying them to do it, right? It's like the opposite of licensing. Someone's like, "Oh, put my game on."
The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, November 24th for $9.99 on the Wii U.
A good deal, a good price for Majora's Mask. It should be pointed out that this is the Nintendo 64 version and not the 3DS version, which will still run you $40 on 3DS right now.
I think it's interesting that they do this, that they put the original out, because there are people who like probably prefer the original over, because the 3DS one is, you know, very similar, but it is a remake and things have been changed.
Right. And I mean, Majora's Mask is the one game that I can think of at any rate that I stopped playing because it was upsetting me too much. And I don't know how far I would have gotten into it if it were also like clunky and didn't look as sharp as it does on the 3DS. The 3DS remake is really pretty and very nice.
I think there are people who prefer the challenge of the original in the sense that
they prefer the aesthetic challenge of it being uglier.
Yes.
Okay.
Breath of Fire 2, November 24th for $7.99 on the 3DS.
Continuing the Super Nintendo library on the 3DS. I picked up Breath of Fire, the OG Breath of Fire I picked up over the weekend because it is also on the Virtual Console. And I always thought it would be fun to play the Breath of Fire games. They're published by Square, but developed by Capcom or something along those lines.
Wow.
The thing is, published by Square, which means the Square RPGs are in play here. Like, just put them out on the 3DS. I want to play me some Chrono Trigger. And I want to play me some Final Fantasies 2 and 3.
I feel like they've kind of done all of the Super Nintendo games on 3DS that they're going to do. The Virtual Console just feels kind of like an afterthought at this point.
Yeah, but still 4 games came out this last month.
That's true.
And I know 4 games is not a lot.
Over 4 weeks.
Over 4 weeks, that's right. I'm just saying.
It would be, I mean, there are so many Super Nintendo games that it'd be great to see on the 3DS, like Chrono Trigger and for one.
Right. Yeah, and so we'll keep an eye on those. End of December, we'll talk about it. End of January until it stops happening. Because there's also a lot of DS games that are coming to the Wii U.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Like they released Animal Crossing Wild World just a few weeks ago, and like that was the Animal Crossing game that I put a ton of time into. That was my first Animal Crossing game.
Yeah,
but it feels unnecessary at this point now that New Leaf is out. I
mean, there's a lot of it that feels unnecessary. The Metroid Prime Hunters and Metroid Prime Pinball are both up there now, and I mean, I guess it's not like there are a lot of other Metroid games to play, but
right?
Like,
and there's not it's not like there's like a superior version of Metroid
Prime
Pinball, you know, like that.
That that's they just a franchise that should come back.
Maybe that's what Rare's been working, or Retro's been working on.
Yeah, how disappointing would that be if Retro comes out in January and is like, we've been developing a new Metroid Prime pinball game?
Do you think people would be more upset with that or another Donkey Kong Country Returns game?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask or Federation Force 2. Okay, what if it's Donkey Kong Country Federation Force Pinball?
That'd be one of those like tingle type situations where it'd be like, it would be so impressive because it'd be so appalling.
Yes. Good. I'm glad. I think we found maximum Nintendo appalling. If Retro comes out,
it feels like the Poochie of Nintendo games. It's like, hey, it's all the things you want from a Nintendo game.
Right? You guys like this, right?
Yeah.
You like Donkey Kong?
You like Metroid?
I guess you like pinball.
You like pinball?
Oh, what else is coming out? Or so that those are the games that did come out in November. Here's what we've got coming out this week. Super Mario Maker comes out on the 3DS on Friday, December 2nd. It'll cost $39.99 and is mostly just Super Mario Maker. Mark, are you gonna pick this up? Are you interested in getting this game?
You know, I kind of feel the same way about Super Mario Maker that I felt about Little Big Planet on the PS3.
You don't want to make stuff?
Yeah, I just don't have that personality where I think it's like the things that people can make are amazing, but I just don't have the patience and to build a level and perfect it.
Yeah.
Like anytime there's like a level builder, like the one that was in Smash Brothers, and just like, try it out for a few seconds and then make some hideous level that is completely unplayable,
non-functional,
not fun, and then I'm just like, okay, I'm done with this. So I probably won't pick this up. But I think it's cool that it exists.
Yeah, me too. I have already sunk many hours creating levels on the Wii U. And I expect if it comes out on the Switch that I will.
Which I don't know if we talked about it last week when we were taking the highway to the rumor zone, but there is a rumor that there's a Super Mario Maker forthcoming for the Switch.
Yeah, it's possible that we maybe didn't have any change, and so we couldn't pay the tolls for that part of the rumor zone, the highway to the rumor zone.
Or maybe we
had to take surface streets.
Yeah, maybe we had to take surface streets, and thus missed.
Just missed part of it.
Just missed part of it.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that is super appealing about Super Mario Maker on either 3DS or the Switch is I love the idea of being able to take levels with you, like work with them on the go. I spend so much, like all of my creation time spent looking directly at the gamepad anyway. There's no reason to have the TV there until you're playing levels. So it'll be cool, and I'm glad that people who don't own Wii U's are going to get a chance to play it.
And I also think the 3DS version, even though like the level creation part doesn't appeal to me, there are a lot of levels it's not that's like probably a large aspect of the game, and probably the majority of for a lot of people that's what gives it its longevity.
Yeah.
But the 3DS version comes with a ton of levels to just play like a Mario game.
Like 100 Nintendo designed levels.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about if I should get it. How many times do I want to buy Super
Mario Maker?
It's been about a year. I'm going to wait for Switch.
Zelda series amiibos.
Yeah.
Are coming out on December 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
There's Link the Legend of Zelda, like the 8-bit version.
Very excited about that one.
Link the Ocarina of Time for $12.99, and Toon Link and Zelda from Wind Waker for $24.99.
Coming together in a 2-pack. I have them all pre-ordered. They should all arrive on Friday. I don't know where.
No, wait. You currently have Links, right? Or I have Young Link?
Yeah, I have a Toon Link. And I've got Ganondorf is in the bedroom. Mark is looking around my apartment right now, trying to find my amiibos. They're scattered around. You'll never find them all. I the Wolf Link is somewhere, though I don't know where. He's here. I trust it. I have faith. So I'm missing the regular Link amiibo and both Zelda and Sheik. So I should probably round that out at some point.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thank you for that judgmental little scowl. I'm hoping that these are not a Nintendo Classic Edition / new 3DS situation, and people are able to buy these if they want them.
I saw somebody tweeting about it earlier that at this week they were available for pre-order somewhere.
Yeah, I saw that too, like on Best Buy or something.
Yeah.
Most of the amiibo releases since the Splatoon amiibo have been easy to come by, but in the States, Link is the most popular, the most purchased amiibo. Not true in Japan, but in America, for whatever reason, people love that Link amiibo. So we'll see if these prove to be just as popular, or we'll find out.
This is not related. But
Okay.
But something you talking about Link being the most popular selling amiibo in the United States. There was some discussion online when the rumor that Mario was going to be a launch title for the Switch and Breath of the Wild was going to come out in summer.
Yeah.
There was some like discussion back and forth that Link and like The Legend of Zelda is actually more popular with gamers now than like it would be a bigger seller to have Breath of the Wild at launch rather than a Mario title at launch, because gamers care more about Zelda at this point than they do about Mario. And I was just curious as to if you had any thoughts on that.
I don't know. Do you think that the numbers really bear that out? Like, I feel like we've gotten both Mario and Zelda. We've had a lot of in the last like 5 years. Between Mario Maker and Mario on the Wii U, just like both Super Mario 3D World and new Super Mario Brothers U, and Zelda. There's been the re-releases and remasters of Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, and then
Wind Waker.
Yeah, Wind Waker, and also Hyrule Warriors on both platforms, and both of the games being on the NES Classic. I just feel like all of these games are everywhere all the time. So I don't know. Do you think does that bear out in your experience that like people are more excited about Zelda than they are Mario?
Not in it. I don't know.
People...
I don't know. I think maybe for like gamers, like people who are like,
yeah. It's definitely just cooler, right? Yeah. That like Zelda is a cooler franchise than Mario is. But I don't know if that, which certainly makes it appeal more to gamers, right? That it feels more like hardcore and more like adventure-y. And Mario is just sort of like fun.
Well, especially, I mean, look, both of us like really enjoyed the modern Mario games.
Yeah.
But there is no question that as Mario has, especially I feel like on the Wii U, like with New Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario World 3D, there is challenge in those games, obviously, right? But you kind of have to go looking for it.
Yeah.
The games themselves are very friendly. And I don't know that the same could be said of any of the Legend of Zelda games.
Yeah.
They're approachable, but they are more challenging, from the onset.
Right, and just ask more even just of like a time commitment.
Right.
And attention, really.
And so I think like in the same way that gamers, people who like play a lot of video games are really excited about like Bloodborne and Dark Souls, which are very challenging games and probably not very approachable for a casual player. We might be seeing the same sort of thing here where it's like, yeah, there's more enthusiasm for Legend of Zelda, even though if you were to open this up to this population at wide,
yeah,
Mario games would probably be more playable. But again, like even just the cool factor, if you were to, how many adults do you see with Legend of Zelda t-shirts versus Mario t-shirts?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think there's also something to be said for just like the space in popular culture that Mario occupies. It's the same space as like Pokemon and like Minecraft, not Minecraft, but Minecraft, and like Angry Birds, right? That it's all that sort of cute but approachable, kind of gearing or kind of that like young people want it, attractive to young people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Mickey Mouse is a really good analog for like what Mario is. And again, this is not to denigrate the Mario games themselves, which I have a ton of fun playing and I think are great. But I do think there is this sort of stigma is not really the right word, but it's the only one I can think of at the moment.
I think that's right. That there is like a stigma around play that like a Mario game is a kid's game.
Yeah, and I don't know how true this is for Japan. I know that in general, Zelda games are way more popular in the West than they have become in, like Japan.
Yeah.
And Japan is also a culture that like cuteness
Yeah,
is
cuteness never goes out of fashion
right
for adults.
Whereas that is obviously not the case in the West.
That's right.
So I can see how this like balance is kind of like shifted, and it's just an interesting dynamic for Nintendo to have to balance. But yeah,
No, good thought. Mark, let's move out of the news. Now it's time for a regular segment on the show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. For the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of 433.
Can I ask a clarifying question about 433?
Sure.
Is it 4 minutes and 33 seconds every time?
Okay, so theoretically the name of the piece changes with the length of the performance.
Gotcha.
But the original performance was 4 minutes and 33 seconds, and that sort of became the standard bearer for the piece going forward. Today's performance is by a band called Star something. They introduced themselves at the beginning of the video, so I'm just going to let them do that, and then you and I will go on with our performance as well.
Okay, so we are Stardust, and we are playing John Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds. You guys ready? Let's go.
All right, Mark, that marks the beginning of our segment. We are going to be talking about headphones and purchasing headphones today.
Well, I had to get new headphones. I use them primarily for my phone, and I've just been using the standard ones that come with like an iPhone.
Yeah.
And I've had these, I guess, for 2 years at this point because I have an iPhone 6, and they're just the ones that came packed in.
Yeah.
But the the wire at the bottom near the connector had like frayed.
Yeah.
And so I was only getting sound in one ear.
It's such a bummer.
It really blows because I like having the microphone and everything. But so I will eventually. My birthday's coming up, so maybe for my birthday get like a nicer set of headphones, but to get me through
I hear the hint, Mark. I hear it.
it would get me through that week. I went to Best Buy today with my friend who was buying a PS4. And
so you were getting drastically different purchases.
Right, yeah. So he had gotten one of the like Cyber Monday
Pro?
No, just regular, because like for $250 he got the PS4 Slim with Uncharted 4 and the Legacy Edition of the new Call of Duty, which comes with
great.
The Call of Duty 4 remastered, Modern Warfare remastered. So he had ordered that online and was picking it up in store. I was like, oh yeah, we like went on our break, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll walk our offices like a few blocks from like half a mile from a Best Buy.
Yeah.
So we just like went down there, and I was looking through, and so I bought like $5 headphones that promised something called unruly bass. I'm still not clear if that's a warning or a feature.
I think bass should always be reined in, controlled
bass.
There's always there's a very excited person in the audience there. Whenever I buy headphones, I do the thing where I am like, I'm gonna get good headphones, and then I realize good headphones are like $200, and I'm like, I'm gonna get bad headphones.
I'm also not like much of a
audiophile.
Yeah, like it doesn't really sound. I can't tell the difference.
Yeah,
and so which is great because then I can just buy cheap headphones and be like, these are fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think for listening to music on your phone or podcasts or whatever, that it doesn't really matter that much. Like unless you're really trying to, immerse yourself in a musical experience, or if you're doing recording where it's not two guys, two microphones, and a laptop, as we are set up right now, then you're probably fine getting basically whatever. $5 that's a good price for some throwaway headphones. Oh, And thank you that we were, of course, accompanied by the band Stardust. So that was 433 this week. Which, of course, leads us to the topic of the day of the week, which, of course, is Pokemon Sun and Moon.
I'm excited to dive into this.
Yeah, let's do it. So, Mark, where are you in the game right now?
I think, like halfway through the third island.
Okay, so you're further in the game than I am.
Oh, really? See, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure, because how much time have you been able to put into it? Like, how many hours are you in?
Yeah, I think my game clock right now is at 18 and a half hours, 19 hours.
So have you been, because I've only played, think about like 16 or 17.
Okay.
So have you been doing a lot of like side stuff or like collecting a Pokemon and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of just like grind. Well, I feel bad anytime one of my Pokemon like starts to outclass the rest of them.
Uh-huh.
So like my party is always like hovering at right about the same level. And so whenever my the cat, sorry, I named him Good Kitty,
Right.
so I forget what he actually is.
The starter was Litten. I don't know what
Yes.
his like.
Litten, Torracat, and it's like Incineroar.
I genuinely cannot tell you how you're supposed to pronounce Rowlet's final evolution.
Oh, it's like Deusui.
Yeah, it's like a really like rotten hand at Scrabble. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
like it's like that's not.
Which is a shame because Rowlet and Dartrix are so straightforward.
Right, and the last one is just letter vomit. So I really don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it.
Okay, so maybe we should go a little bit more basic.
Okay.
So we know about where we are now. Mark, you're playing Pokemon Moon.
Yes.
Which has all of the time offset by 12 hours.
Yeah, which has been interesting. Like the very beginning of the game, it takes place at night. No matter when I was playing it, like those first,
Yeah.
And I think that's because it is Pokemon Moon.
Yeah, mine was all taking place during the day.
Yeah, but now when I play, because I usually can only play in the evening, and so it's daytime in the game.
Have you been able to play during the transition from day to night or night to day?
No.
Because there actually is like a dusk where
that's
like
cool.
the light is like kind of yellowy, and I guess the light is always yellow, but like red, and it's like sunset. I've played through a couple sunsets, and I wake up early in the morning to get stuff done before I go to work, and sometimes I'm like, I'll play Pokemon for 20 minutes. And I love the way this game can be played for any length of time.
Yeah.
Because you can save anywhere not in battle.
And I really have been using the just like sleep function on my
just
3DS a
closing
lot
it,
more. Just
yeah.
like, because I'll like save and then I'll close, but instead of like shutting it down and like restarting it and everything.
Yeah.
So did that. I chose Rowlet as my starter.
And Rowlet is so the starters. I don't know like how basic to get, but I think there will be people listening that have never played a Pokemon before. And
Or Sun and Moon, but especially.
Yeah. So there are 3 starting Pokemon, one of fire type, which is a fire cat named Litten. There is a little plant owl named Rowlet, who's adorable. He wears a little bow tie. And there is a seal, water seal sounds redundant, but it's called Poplio. So Mark started with the Rowlet. I started with Litten. I named him Good Kitty because he's a good kitty.
And I don't change any of the names of my Pokemon.
Have you recruited any of the Pokemon like from the NPCs in the game that are like, I'll trade you a whatever for a whatever?
I have not encountered any of these.
Mark, you need to talk to more NPCs in this game. I think I've encountered 2. That's how I got a Poliwhirl and my first Machamp.
Oh yeah, no, I've just
the
been
fighting type.
Oh yeah, I have not gotten to Machamp yet. I have just caught all of my Pokemon so far.
Any of the Pokemon that you trade for with NPCs are nicknamed. So my Poliwhirl's nickname is Whirly. I didn't choose it, but his name
Can
is
you
Whirly.
change it?
Mm-mm.
I mean, that makes sense.
It's his name.
Yeah.
And I think my Machop's name is Macho or something like that.
That's
it,
pretty
it, it was
great.
cute, so I was happy with that one. Yeah, we talked a little bit about how this game takes place in the very Hawaii-esque region
Region.
of Alola,
Mhm.
not Aloha,
No,
but Alola, which is also what the characters in the game say to each other.
it's a greeting,
right,
and a goodbye,
right,
but it's not aloha.
but it is not Aloha. It's Alola.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel about the Alola region?
I think I've been really impressed in general with the atmosphere of the game.
Yeah,
When we were talking about the demo, I mentioned that it felt like the area in the demo felt very empty
yeah,
for like the part where you're like running through the town.
yeah, and it was.
So I was worried that would carry over to the main game, but I have not found that to be the case. I find it very charming. The music is great.
Mhm.
Like most of the time when I'm playing video games, I play without sound because I find the music when it's repetitive to be really irritating.
Yeah,
And I keep the sound on for this because even though it is very repetitive, I find it like pleasant.
yeah, it is just good music, and it it has a lot of that Hawaiian kind of flair to it. Also, like, we're joking about like it's Alola, not Aloha, but like they're using so many Hawaiian things. Like there's like a tiki idol at one point that I found. The who one of the trainers keeps calling you cousin. Like it's like
The professor does.
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's right, that's right. It's the Professor Kukui.
Yeah,
Which
everybody in this game is super hot.
Well, yeah, everyone in this game is super.
Like
hot.
I think it's very funny, like because it's kind of like like island themed. Like people will wear lab coats but not shirts. Everybody's like swimming. And
Yeah,
it's
you
just, like,
encounter a
totally,
lot of
like-
people in bathing suits.
Yeah, it's really funny to me.
Yeah, it's yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, so the region has been super fun to explore.
Can I just about the region? So I lived in Hawaii for like 5.5 months. I was living with my sister who is in the Army, and she was stationed there at the time. She said, "Why don't you come out and watch my dog in my house while I'm deployed to Iraq?" And I said, "Okay, great."
Because you support the troops.
Because I support the troops. I support my sister and her family, who are troops. And I support the troops. I don't know. Do I need to assert that? Why did you back me into this weird corner?
I support the troops.
Oh, I see how it is. You're teeing yourself up. So I feel nostalgic and homesick when I play this game. Even though I don't really consider Hawaii home, but there is something about that speed of Hawaiian life that's just like chill and pleasant that I feel like this game really gets right. And I don't know if my previous experience with Pokemon games have been, it feels more like accomplishment driven, that like the other Pokemon games want you to collect all the Pokemon and like rank up at these gyms and stuff. And the whole gym system is done away with in this game in favor of something that's a lot more experiential.
Which they call trials.
Yeah, they call them trials.
The game is the Alola region is broken up into I think 5 islands.
I think it's 4 main islands.
Four
and
main
then
islands.
the little ones.
And so you're going on this island quest with your friends and so you like each island is its own like mini world.
With its own
Pokedex. And you complete like that island's trials, and then you like progress on to the next islands.
Right. And in previous Pokemon games, as you conquer gyms, you get badges that allow you to control higher level Pokemon that aren't the Pokemon you catch. And in this game, you basically get these stones that unlock like special abilities of the Pokemon, these Z moves, which so like your accomplishments in the gym substitutes also help you like change the way the Pokemon perform in battle, which I find it's a cool like reward system, even if it like a little bit break. I don't know that it doesn't seem like the fairest implementation of like a reward, because it's just like, oh, now my fire kitty gets a awesome fire attack. Like when we Mark and I before we started recording did our first Pokemon fight against each other. I won, no big deal. But like part of the reason I won is because I threw out my Z move right away and was like, oh, that's my special move, I'm just gonna play it. So like for competitive purposes, I don't know if
Yeah, for competitive purposes, I don't like it is interesting. In the game, it doesn't seem to have that much of an effect on the gameplay. And maybe it's because I feel very overpowered in the game.
well
Like my Rowlet just like wrecks.
yeah, he's pretty high level. Although I guess for where you are in the game, that might be about appropriate. You're like 38 right now, maybe.
Yeah,
something like
but
that.
and that may be true, but there's very little challenge.
Sure.
Which is weird because you destroyed me, like straight up, like destroyed me with your fire type.
Right.
But I have not run into this problem in the game.
Well, you haven't been playing against my fire kitty.
No, but also we're closer level
Mhm.
than because your fire kitty's
34.
34,
Mhm.
and where I am in the game, I'm like 10 levels above a normal attack, where it's like they're around like level 29.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty much so like Z moves I don't even bother with most of the time.
Right. So what else can we talk about
Well,
in here? How are you feeling about like your Pokemon collection, and like as you go, do you like dive into the grass and like look for more Pokemon as soon as you get to a new area, or are you quick to like get on to the next thing, or how are you approaching the game?
In the beginning, I was really like when I came, I would be I'd be running around in the grass a lot and
Yeah.
trying to get more entries for my Pokedex. But recently, I've just been trying to push forward in the story.
Do you find that sometimes you forget whether you've caught something or not?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, I do it too, where I'm like, do I have a Diglett yet?
And-
I know I fought a bunch of them, but
Right.
like, have I caught it yet?
Yeah, it would be nice to have a way to pull up your Pokedex in battle.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Although
I guess maybe that. Well, so the game also, if you fought something before, then and all subsequent battles, you'll be able to see whether the moves you have are effective, very effective, or not very effective against them.
Well, that's true, but it doesn't. So you know if you've encountered it, but you don't know if you have actually captured it.
That's right. Well, that's what I'm saying, is that like one of the reasons that maybe you wouldn't be able to access your Pokedex in the middle of the fight is that then that's sort of a shortcut to figuring out something's weakness. Like if you're
see.
fighting it for the first time. Although if you're fighting it for the first time, it wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be in your Pokedex.
All right. Well, then it's a design flaw.
But and the other reason why I haven't been collecting that much, I think what I need to do is go to like a bank or like the box and
Mhm.
pull out lower level Pokemon, because what will happen is I encounter Pokemon I have never encountered before, and even like my Rowlet or letter vomit.
Let's look it up. I feel like it's worth looking up now.
I think we can look it up. I don't know that we'll be able to parse how it's pronounced unless you're like looking up a video where somebody says it. But so I like encounter Pokemon I've never seen before. It's level, like 27. One hit from any of my guys who are, even though my Rowlet's
Yeah.
like level 37 or 38, my other guys are like 34, 35.
Mhm.
And so a hit from any of the ones that are in my party just completely, for the most part, decimates any of them. So I don't even have an opportunity to
I see,
capture
yeah.
my Pokemon.
So, are you using because there's like a ball that is more effective if it's used earlier in the fight, and there are like have you been messing around with the different kinds of Pokeballs?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so like I'm still capturing them when I can, but a lot of times, and I've cut back on just like the running around in the grass. But honestly, I could see myself coming back to filling out my Pokedex, because you were saying it's a great game that it's like, I'll just put 20 minutes into this.
Yeah.
So I can see myself like watching something on TV and just being like, oh, I'm just gonna run around in the grass.
Yeah,
And you know, like fill out my Pokedex a little bit.
I do think that the game is good for that sort of thing where like if I want to just like keep my head in just the game itself, that I can progress with the story of the game, or do like pay more attention to leveling up like low level Pokemon. But if I just want to like grind and find new Pokemon, I can watch TV or listen to music or a podcast or whatever. So it's nice that it allows you to, it's like totally normal ways of engaging the game, and you can kind of choose your level of commitment. Okay, so the spelling of this thing is DECIDUEYE. So let's assume that EYE is supposed to be pronounced as I.
Okay.
That there's like, it's like a pun on that. So it's like Decidui. I don't know, man.
The other ones are so easy.
Yeah.
The other ones make so much sense.
Rowlet.
Right. This one is just like, okay. So I don't know if maybe I'm missing an obvious pun. But honestly, I don't really like the final evolution.
I'm not sure that I like the final evolution of the Litten either. Because they're both so cute earlier in the game, and then they become these like big hulking monsters.
Yeah, well, and yours is like super buff.
Oh yeah, he's way buff.
Yours like hulks out, and does this amazing spinning move that just looks hilarious.
Yeah, it's like it's called Double Lariat. It is a dark type attack, and he just sticks his arms out and starts spinning like he's Zangief or something. It's mostly just hilarious because it's like I twirl at you.
But Rowlet, his becomes like, so he's this cute fat little owl initially, and then he becomes this like moody teenager, with like
which
bangs.
is also adorable.
Yeah, which is great. And then the last one, he's like this cloaked, like very tall, like cloaked figure.
He's like an owl of Ga'Hoole.
Yeah, and he's just I don't love the design,
right?
But
what other Pokemon are you rolling with?
I have a Growlithe,
a
Pikachu.
Yeah,
I finally got him to evolve.
It took me so long to evolve my Pichu.
Well, I spent like so much time like petting him and feeding him beans, and like
I don't even think that's it. I think because you just have to up the friendship, and friendship isn't one of the categories in the Pokemon maintenance. What's it called? Refresh. Okay, so there's a little mini game in this game where you can feed your Pokemon, you can pet them, and you can do other like maintenance on them, like
if it's like if they were attacked by a water type, you can use a little towel to like, or a little blow dryer to like dry them off.
You use the little towel if they get muddy.
Yeah, and if you invest, as with a lot of things in this game, if you invest time in it, there are benefits. But if you don't, you're fine not doing it.
Yeah,
because my Rowlet and the Pikachu, I always like do all the things to keep them happy.
Yeah.
And there are benefits in battle. Like they will it'll be like, oh, he did a critical to earn your praise. And then little hearts will like appear above him.
Or it'll be like, he heard you shout for him. And so he dodged the attack.
So so there are benefits to doing it. But what I was reading is that you may not have to, but that helps, just like doing that stuff, it helps increase
the friendship level.
And so that's how I got him to. I also gave him like the little bell you can carry around to make him feel safe, and then like using him in battle and stuff, basically making Pichu feel important.
Right. It is amazing how much. I mean, all of the Pokemon have a lot of personality, but I am floored by how much personality Pichu and Pikachu have. Every time I go into the mini game to like play with the Pikachu or like pet him, he's doing something. Like sometimes he's just like facing the other way, and sometimes he's like he pokes his head up like he's like under the camera or something is just so cute and playful.
Growlithe is really cute too.
Oh, is
he's
he?
just like a he's like a little dog. Like he really is like
Yeah.
like a dog, and then you pet him and he like pants and he's like happy.
Oh,
It's
man.
really cute. But there are so many things to level. Oh, who are you rocking in your party?
Oh, so I've got. Did we get through all of your party? I think you just did like 3.
And then I also
You've
and
got
then
a
I just have
Grimer,
I have a Grimer.
right.
I don't know. I have ones that I just never pull out because
Sure.
yeah.
Because who cares, man? So yeah, my party right now is that Poliwhirl that I just picked up. Because I don't have a strong water type right
Mhm.
now. Partially because I just want to finish this next trial so I can use the Ash Greninja that we got from playing the demo. But the rest of my party, I'm looking it up right now. There's Good Kitty, my evolved Litten. I'm using a Toucannon, which is what was it originally? Pick-a-Peck, the little bird thing.
Oh yeah.
So that's fully evolved. I've got a Pikachu, and then a Kadabra. I really like the Abracadabra Alakazam family. I'll want to trade this Kadabra to you, and then have him traded back so that he'll evolve. Because when you trade it, it evolves. And a Fomantis. It's a like plant bug. That I like.
Oh, I have a Persian.
What is that?
It is Meowth, the like
Oh,
second
okay,
evolution.
okay.
Which again, this was another bummer because the Meowth has so much personality,
Yeah.
and then the Persian is just kind of like a cow with a jewel in its head. It's just
Jewel
it's
cat.
just not as fun. Ugh. Then of course my Pikachu, my Grimer, and then my Umbreon, which is the one of the possible
Yes.
evolutions of an Eevee.
That's pretty cool.
Who I got out of an egg. He
Oh,
hatched out of an egg.
I also hatched an Eevee out of the egg. Do you foresee yourself doing any Pokemon breeding? Have you done any? It seems like there's no end to how complicated this game could be.
Yeah, like there are so many things that can be leveled up in this game.
Yes.
Because we haven't even talked about like the camera aspect.
Oh, jeez.
And like so you like take photos of Pokemon, and then the game just like has this like weird like Twitter/Instagram type thing where like you put up the photo
And it gets a bunch of likes.
and it gets a bunch of
comments.
rights and comments from like the game itself.
Right.
But it's funny because the comments aren't all positive. They'll be like, there's a lot of water in that. They'll still give you likes, but they're not all great.
So one of the comments that pops up on some of them is like 7.8.
Yeah,
7.8 too much water. Which is a reference to Callie Pleggy's review of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire on IGN.
That's amazing.
Which she rated as like a 7.8 or 5 or whatever it is. And in the list of pros and cons, one of the cons was too much water. Which she explained in the review was like there are too many water type Pokemon, so the game seems like unbalanced in this way. But the bullet point at the end is just too much water. And that became like a rallying cry within the idiot comment section of IGN that like, oh, IGN thinks this is done with too much water. Like that was anyway.
That's really funny.
Super funny that the Treehouse people like know that, and they're like, yes, that's a joke we can make. Too much water.
I often like laugh out loud at the comments that happen in this game, because every time you meet like another Pokemon trainer and they challenge you and then you beat them, like they all kind of it's like swimmer dude Biff, or like they all have like names and like a thing they do, and a lot of them are like preschooler Tina, right?
Yeah.
And then the one that always gets me, because I feel like you sometimes seen them more than once.
I think that's right.
But the one that always gets me is like, it'll be like, you beat preschooler Tina, and then she's like, I'm too young for math, and has like her hands like flown up the air like she's really excited. Like that one I just think is
too young for math is pretty adorable.
But yeah, like the amount of things you can level up in this game are insane. Like you can level up the camera, right? So you like take photos, and the more likes you get.
Jeez, I didn't even know you could
Yeah, the
level
more
up the
likes.
camera.
So the first time it's like get 1,500 likes, which isn't very hard. It's like 3 photos.
Yeah.
And your camera moves up to level 2, which means you can
I guess
zoom
I have
in.
done that.
Right, and then it's like the next level's like 10,000 likes or like 15,000 likes. There's like Festival Plaza, which the more you play in that, the more levels it gets, which means more
And you
things
get
get
festival coins.
Like there are so many things in this game that can be leveled up. That
And then other things that aren't even on like a level spectrum, like the amount of clothing options
Yeah.
in this game. So both Mark and I have our trainers to a point where they're wearing not the clothes that they started with, where we've cut their hair and put glasses on them if we wanted to.
change their eye color. I
Mhm.
finally figured out how to do that. I was gonna be like, and this is how you do it because we couldn't remember a lot, and I forgot.
Okay, great. But I anytime I get to a new town and like I find the clothing shop, I'm excited to like go shopping for clothes.
I will say okay, because in order to get places in the game, you have to go on routes or routes. So like
Sure.
Route 5, Route 6, and you're progressing because it's like, oh, I just went on Route 6.
Yeah.
Go to like Route 7. And in this way, the game is repetitive in that it's like, okay, you're going down these routes, and I guess you could avoid the other Pokemon trainers, but it's kind of like the only way to earn money in this game is to
Yeah.
defeat Pokemon trainers.
Well, and to sell items that you.
Oh, that's
'cause
true. You can sell
get
items.
like there are big pearls and other items that are only there to be sold.
And I kind of find that aspect of the like I have started avoiding fighting other Pokemon traders.
Oh, yeah.
But if you beat them all, a lot of times there are rewards at the end because there'll be like a main trainer who
Yeah.
is like come back to me for a challenge after you've beat all the other trainers on like Route 5. So you like beat all of them, then you go back and it's a little tougher and you
Yeah.
get like a better item for it.
Mark, I think you should put your Rowlet away for a little bit.
Yeah, I think it would probably. I felt because what I was trying to do was like plow ahead to get as far as I could so we could get into the game because the first plot wise,
Yeah.
the first part of the game is just like, oh, you're like exploring the low law and everything.
Right. And you're
And-
participating in this like Pokemon training and fighting
Island
ritual.
right?
Yeah.
And like the island challenge.
It's a rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage, and you're accompanied by your like friend that you
Mhm.
meet. His name's like
How?
Howa.
How? H-A-U.
H-A-U.
Yeah. How?
How.
Let's go.
And he's great. He has like really fun animations.
Yeah. He's like a nonstop ball of positivity.
I mean, yeah. Oh, he's great. I mean, everybody in this game is like super positive.
sure.
Well,
Lily can be kind of a bummer.
okay. She's my least favorite character, and it's not because she's a bummer. It's because I feel okay. So you have your best friend, and then this girl who in the plot, her name's Lily,
Mm-hmm.
and she's very like doe-eyed and is wearing like a dress, and she has this mysterious Pokemon
Yes.
that she is trying to help, and there's like plot stuff that's going on with like a institute or whatever it's called, which is like
and wormholes.
and wormholes, which is like but anyways, she's kind of a bummer because she at this point is helpless.
Yeah.
And it's kind of bums me out. Like, there's a part where she's like, I don't know that I can find the library on my own. I'm like,
Ugh.
girl, get it together.
Girl, figure it out.
Yeah, well, it's just like, and that's the way she's written as kind of like this, like hell, I'm helpless. I can't do anything. Do
She
everything
also-
for me. And it's not that aspect where I'm like, I have to do stuff for you. It's the fact that like, how reductive can this be?
Yeah. I mean, she's like a Pokemon pacifist. Like she's like, I never thought I would become a Pokemon trainer.
Well, she's like, I don't know that I'm that I could become a trainer. It's not even that she's like, I don't want to be a trainer. She's like, I don't think I could do that.
No, well,
I'm precious.
well, she does say over and over again, "I'm precious." A lot of the dialogue boxes are just, "I'm precious." Period. I'm precious. Period. I'm precious. Period.
and maybe you're right. Maybe she does like say, maybe it is that she's a pacifist, but like because she's so like painted as so weak in all other aspects.
Yeah.
Maybe my reading of it is more negative.
And I mean, I think in no Pokemon game are you going to find a bunch of super fleshed out, rich characters, right?
No, and that's not my complaint is not that.
No, I get you. I'm sorry.
You know-
I was being reductive. You're right.
my complaint is not that like these characters aren't like the richest. My complaint is that unless you make your trainer a girl,
Yeah.
which is an option,
Mhm.
but unless you make your trainer a girl, she's the only other main female character in this game thus far.
What about Lily's adoptive mother at the Institute? Is it her adoptive mother? I just met her, and I don't know her name.
Oh, at the Institute?
Yeah.
What is she? Well, how into spoilers do we want to get?
I mean, I guess maybe not, because I do find the story that starts to develop like halfway through the second island, pretty compelling
Well,
for a
it's-
Pokemon story.
Well, and that's why I wanted to push through, because we talked about this like a little bit last week, but because at the beginning it's just like, oh, the Alola region is great,
yeah,
and then there are some other developments really involving like wormholes and stuff that are kind of not out of left field, but are unexpected. I was anticipating that the game was just going to be, let's just like have fun in the Alola region because it's amazing.
yeah. Well, and like the normal like one of the things Pokemon asks of you is to collect them all and become the very best, and usually like that's goal enough for these games. But it's cool that there are all these other like narrative layers, and even if they're sort of thin, that it's more structure than I was expecting.
Absolutely.
Of this game.
Love Skull Team Skull.
Oh yeah, I love Skull Team too.
I
They're
love it.
So
their
dumb.
animations are so like the animations of the characters, except you're so boring. Everybody's trainer is the most boring.
Yeah, but I love the way my trainer looks.
Yeah. You can really customize your trainer to like, but like the animations of Team Skull are awesome. Like they do this like breakdancing type like like move that
And the
you
music,
can't.
the music when they
is
show
great.
up is really cool.
I love when you fight one of them and there's that cool like blacking out of
Yeah.
the top screen that's really fun. The animations of like your friend are great. He's always like
Oh, how
cheering
she's
and,
so
like,
happy.
I loved in the second island, one of the challenges is there's like these dancing
Oh yeah, Mohawks.
torch wielding Mohawks,
Yeah,
and it's like so cute.
it's cute and dumb. So that's one of the things that the trials are all different. Unlike the gym challenges in previous Pokemon games, which are all just combat. Some of the trials are like, so this Mohawk one that we were talking about, the Pokemon dance.
They do a little dance and they're holding like torches.
Right, and they're doing like a little tiki dance.
Yeah, they do like a little like
A luau.
a little like luau dance.
And then they like do a freeze frame at the end, and then he's like, "Okay, pay attention to that dance, and then tell me what's different this time." And then they do it again. And in the first one, it actually is that like one of them is
The first one's the most challenging.
yeah, because he's like positioned a little bit differently. But the second and the third one are like jokes because it's like suddenly there's a hiker in the picture or something. So it's all very just like fun and goofy and different. So every trial, like you're gonna fight something with something else, but like how that's dressed up is always different, and always fun. Why were we talking about the? I feel like that was an explanation.
Oh,
so that could
we
talk
were
about
just
something
talking about
else.
like the plot a little
Okay.
bit and like stuff like that. Another thing that, and again, like I'm really enjoying this game. So
Mhm.
the things that I'm saying like are the like the little like negative things about it
Let's get to criticism.
are not, but they're not. It's not like super harsh,
Right.
But like, cause just like minor annoyances. Another minor annoyance is how Pokemon can call for help. So you'll be like at the end of a trial or something,
Yeah.
and it'll be almost down, and then it calls for like a Raticate or something. And you're like,
Now I gotta
Come
fight two of these things.
on,
Yeah.
and you don't have the option of calling for help.
right.
You
And
can occasionally do like duo fights,
2-on-2.
2-on-2, but
The thing with 2-on-2 is that seems like the hardware has a hard time keeping up.
the frame rate drops significantly.
Yeah, in a
in
2-on-2
moment-
fight.
Yeah.
Um,
Or anytime like a third Pokemon enters the
yeah, that's true.
like it really takes a hit.
which is fine because it's all menu-based combat, so like the game is functionally the same.
Oh yeah, it's just like weirdly noticeable.
Yeah, we're like, what is happening here?
I was actually going to ask if that happened to you because you're running a new 3DS and
Yeah.
I'm running the old one, so I wasn't sure if that was something that like the better hardware took care of.
Honestly, I don't know if I notice it when just when one Pokemon calls for backup. I notice it mostly in the 2-on-2, especially when it's 2 trainers versus 2 trainers. Because then you can see the actual trainers in the fight too, so that the game is populating 8 characters. So maybe like that's where it really starts to chug.
Another thing in these like 2-on-2 battles, or anytime there are multiple Pokemon, one thing I find, again, just like a minor annoyance, is using the circle pad. It's very easy to accidentally toggle to an empty space.
Yeah,
and
target the empty
space.
Like
the empty space. And it's just like, why would I want to do that?
Yeah,
why is this even an option?
How much of the because the game keeps making you use the touchpad for the Pokemon refresh after fights, and it happens pretty regularly that it
gives you the option after after
most
a lot of
fights,
fights, you can push Y and it'll automatically take you to Pokemon refresh.
Anytime it prompts me to do it,
I always do it as well.
I don't want my Pokemon to feel unloved.
Not at all.
But I end up doing a lot of the combat on the touch screen, like not with the circle pad and pushing A, but actually just like tapping the moves I want them to do.
Oh.
Do you? It sounds like you probably end up.
Yeah, I mostly pull out the stylus just for Pokemon refresh.
Yeah, me too. I'm just using like my fingers on the actual
yeah,
screen.
No, I haven't been doing that. That might be better.
I mean,
more precise and yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm getting jelly all over.
Well, I mean, you only play when you're eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
That's
sloppy
right.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Just very sloppy, and I make them just bare hand. I just grab a glop of peanut butter and on the bread, and then a handful of jelly. And it's delicious, and I'm having a wonderful time.
Well, how about your complaint corner? Any complaints?
Let's see. I mean, I think we've hit on most of my complaints. I'm really loving the game.
Oh yeah, I'm really loving the game too. I'm just generally a negative person. I feel like on this podcast, I'm the person. It's like, yeah, no, it's great, but
because we said everything that I have complaints with, that it chugs when there's a lot of characters on screen.
I think another thing, again, just like minor annoyances, and part of this I think was I was trying to like get through the game quickly, like get as far as I could quickly.
Sure.
But just like the time it takes to do things could be in the sense that even just like going through menus where it's like, okay,
yeah,
I'm going to go into Pokemon refresh, but when I pet like the Pikachu or whatever, there's a really cute animation, but then there's like a 1 second or like 1.5 second moment where I can't do anything and it's like resetting, or like you feed him a bean and then he like accepts it and there's like this animation. I'm like, okay, great. The like little hearts appear to like tell you, and then there's like a 2 second like repositioning animation before you can do anything else. And it's just like things like that I wish were tightened up, because I'm doing it so often that those like 2 seconds begin to feel really, they add up.
Yeah, I get that. I think especially as you're playing for with like the goal in mind of like, I want to get as far in this to have a conversation about it. But I think now that we can kind of just luxuriate in it, that kind of stuff will bother me less. I do wish once we actually got it to work, the fighting a set of Pokemon against each other was relatively easy, and there are probably more options, but like I think it would be fun if you and I could challenge other trainers together, if we could do like a cooperative thing. And I guess maybe we just need to get more into that. Again, this is another like pool that could be as deep as we want it to be, fighting either online or finding other people to play with or whatever, and then trading and all of that. I mean, there's just, I am intimidated by the depth of this game, and I don't know I don't know if I'm gonna end up taking it into that like the post game, or if I'm gonna get to the end and then say like, okay, I've spent 40 hours in Pokemon.
Yeah, because for many people who play Pokemon, the post game
Is the game.
like
Yeah.
is just as big of a deal, if not bigger, than the actual like story and game itself.
Yeah, and geez, I just don't know. I don't know if I'm there, Mark.
Yeah, I still got to get back to Dragon Quest 7 at some
You
point.
gotta get back to
And
Dragon
then
Quest 7.
the Switch will be coming out,
right, and then
Dragon Quest 8
oh man, and then we're gonna die at some point too, right?
within 2 years, I think.
That's says the prophecy.
But overall, I cannot recommend this game enough.
yeah,
I think it's fun for people who have play a lot of Pokemon. I think it's great for people who have never played Pokemon. I think it's great for people who don't like RPGs. Like I think they really knocked it out of the park.
yeah, me too. I mean, I think just straight recommendation. Like I just think it's a great game. I did get an email from our friend Spencer, who writes with us on Retcon Punch, who is also playing. He had an anecdote that he wanted to relay, if I may. So this email has some language in it I'm going to censor. Spencer, which is doubly funny just coming from Spencer, because he's so clean. He doesn't swear at all in the pieces that we write about comics. So this is just adorable. The email reads, dude, holy bleep. I just went into 10 Carat Cave and was almost immediately attacked by a carbink. You know the carbink? It's like a little rabbit in a stone. He says, my Diglett slashes at it with Metal Claw. It takes about 2/3 of its health. I try to catch it. It doesn't work. Carbink calls for aid, and a Sableye, S-A-B-L-Y-E, shows up. It's like a little lizardy looking, or it's like looks like a gremlin almost. He says, I'm determined to catch the Carbink, so I decided to kill Sableye first. But Sableye uses his attack to take down the Carbink, its own partner. Eventually he catches the Carbink and says, when I'm reading its Pokedex entry, I see that the Sableye are known for stalking Carbinks so that they can take their gems. So this opportunistic jerk heard a Carbink call for help and decided to pretend to help it so it could pretty much murder it instead and steal its gemstones off its corpse. My catching it probably was the only thing that stopped it. I feel ashamed to store it in my PC, but it's the only thing keeping it off the streets.
That's amazing. Oh, that reminds me that people were listing online the like Pokedex entries.
Yeah.
Some of them are like super dark.
Yeah.
Like that, where it's just like, oh, it's, blah 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 is like living on a pile of bones, just like things like that where it's like very like grim and very like death obsessed.
Well, when there are like 800 of these things, right? So some of them, get dark or weird, or are stalking each other to steal their gems.
That's great. Well, I have not seen that, or like one attacks it. That's great.
Me neither. In fact, when a Pokemon calls for backup, it's almost always another of that Pokemon. But I love that there's a type of Pokemon that will call for help and be greeted by its mortal enemy, which will then
It's predator
attempt to
in nature.
kill it. Yeah.
Another thing that's just generally super cool about Pokemon is that once Pokemon Bank is released next year, you'll be able to put your Gen 1, your like,
yes,
if you have them, your Pokemon like Red and Blue, and you've been keeping them and transferring them all this time, you'll be able to put.
There's a cutoff there because, right, if something made it to a Game Boy Advance, there's no way that like the bridge from Game Boy Advance to
you're right.
DS, I think there's a cutoff there. But the Virtual Console versions of Red, Blue, and Yellow are compatible with Pokemon Bank.
That's crazy.
So like,
you'd be
I
able
can take the Squirtle that I started training a couple months ago in Pokemon Red,
and you would be able to transfer him into that's just cool. That's it's like rewards long-term players in a way that I don't know any other game has ever done.
Nope. It's a very like forward thinking. I'm just surprised at how happy I am with Pokemon Sun and Moon.
And, like, I was anticipating enjoying it, but yeah, I've really kind of been blown away with how much, like, the depth, how much fun it is, like this stuff that like Spencer found. Like,
Yeah.
that's like just like there's so much like care put into these games.
Yes, it feels like a real functional world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mark, we did it. I think again the 2 weeks in a row where we're going to skip the reader mail segment, but we've gotten 2 emails in here from Spencer and Pete, and I've got another one on deck from Ethan, but we can do Ethan's question next time. And if you've got a question for us, it helps the show, and we can talk about something, and it's fun.
Yeah, we promise we'll eventually get to it.
Yeah, we'll promise we'll keep putting it off. I read 2 emails today. You can send email, of course, to Nintendo Cartridge Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com.
Also, if you're playing Pokemon Sun and Moon, we want to hear about your experience.
Yeah,
because again, this game is so deep that you probably have seen and experienced something that, like, I don't even know you could trade with NPCs. That was, like that happened, and like Spencer's experience. These are things that I haven't seen, so we would love to hear. Also, on a personal, like, I would be interested in hearing if you have any thoughts on the Mario Zelda divide.
Yeah, which side do you? Let's just weigh in personally, Mark. What side of the divide, if you had to say, like, for you, which is more meaningful, Mario or Zelda?
I am more excited at the prospect of Breath of the Wild than I am the Mario Switch game.
Yeah.
But I don't think that reflects poorly on the Mario Switch game, which I will 100% buy.
Yeah.
And 100%, like, I expect to fully enjoy.
You know what I think it is? There aren't very many negative Zelda experiences. Whereas, like, there are Mario games that are just okay, and then there are, like, Mario Tennis, Mario Party, all these other Mario games that, like, can be genuinely bad. And I don't really know that there is a genuinely bad Zelda experience.
Yeah. I mean, guess that's true. I mean, there are lesser Zelda experiences.
Crossbow training.
But yeah, if you have any thoughts on that, like, we'd be interested in hearing that. And also, we're like 5 weeks away from M. Night Shyamalan's Split coming out.
Yeah.
So,
when does the movie release? Do you know the release date? Is it a Christmas release?
No, it's mid-January.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to be honest.
So you're playing, like, the long con here. You've been asking for spoilers for this movie for months.
I'm giving people time. I mean, like, I'm hopeful.
Right.
Like,
it's a big ask.
I'm going to be, yeah, exactly. Because I'm weak. I Googled this week trying to find it. Legitimately could not find it, but I know it's out there.
Okay, so you can email the spoilers for Split is the name of this movie? Okay. Or you could tweet them at us at NinCart Society, or just post it all over our Facebook page. There's like 2 other things on the Facebook page. It's just spoilers for Split. That would be great. All right, so that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Like I said, check us out on Twitter, shoot us an email, or get to us on Facebook. Also, if you're interested in helping us out, you could go on iTunes and rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends. You got a friend who likes Nintendo, right? They'll want to hear us talk about Nintendo. While you're on iTunes, you can check out another What's a Creative podcast network podcast. We're part of that network, and if you like this, there's a good chance you'll like something else there. On a side note, this is not What's a Creative related, but I did a guest. I was a guest on Ryan Mogi and Kelly Nugent's Tall, Dark, and Broody podcast, which is the show about the TV show Angel. That's on the Nerdist School Network. We talked about season 2, episodes 1 and 2, and that comes out on Thursday. So check that out too. And Nerdist School Network has other shows. Anyway, geez, I'm talking too much. What am I doing? Am I wrapping up the show? If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, you can always read more about them on retconpunch.com. It is where we write about comic books. Livy Duncan made our logo. Our music is done by 8-Bit Betty, which you can hear more of by going to his website or by listening a little bit right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying too much, and thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?